We're here with Steven Wilson Jr. right after his performance at C2C Festival.
Correct, sweaty.
This was fire.
Oh, thank you. It was fire. Thank you. That's quite the compliment.
And it was quite a little bit different to your set yesterday.
Yeah, a little louder, a little rowdier.
Yeah. I want to know, what do you prefer, acoustic or with the band?
I don't really prefer either or. They're just, no one's better or worse. They're just different. And I kind of approach them equally. Like my goal in doing all this, I wanted it to be like, you know, Bluebird to Bridgestone. Bridgestone is like a big arena in Nashville. So I've always kind of had this vision of kind of being able to just go into the Bluebird and play a song with my guitar, kind of like I did last night. And then also be able to play with my band in a big arena and kind of everywhere in between. And kind of cover that whole spectrum. It's hard for me to say which one is better or I like better. They're just quite different, and I love them both in various different ways. So I can kind of tell more stories in the acoustic setting, but I also like the rock. That's fun too.
Yeah. So your debut album, Son of Dad, is a 22 pieces art of work, and I find it's filled with lots of nostalgia, deep songwriting, and an infectious sound you created. Maybe we could dive in what exactly affected you to build the bridge between the album sound and its meaningful stories.
Well, I started making the album kind of in the beginning of the pandemic, and my dad had just died, and I was really just trying to keep a record of what I was going through. That's why I love the word, when we call them records, albums, we call them records. And it was like a record-keeping exercise. I was trying to keep record of what I was going through with his loss and what the world was going through with the pandemic. And, you know, my sonic influences are very much rooted in indie rock, like, you know, the National and grunge music, like, you know, Nirvana and Soundgarden and Pearl Jam. So that's very much what my ear gravitates sonically to. But I write country songs and I sing country songs. So it's like this amalgam of country songs and country music mixed with indie rock and grunge. And because when I play guitar, and what I want everything to sound like is kind of grungy and indie, but with a really country bass lyrically.
So I was really happy that you played Horror from the Hollow today, because this is my favorite of those 20 songs.
Thank you.
Would you say this song was the one that put you on the map for a wider audience, or is it maybe another one?
I don't know if that one was the one. I think it definitely it gets a lot of the people that like heavier music. It tends to kind of grab their attention because it's a pretty heavy song. Not just lyrically, but even sonically. Other songs like You to Be Young, 1994, I feel like kind of casts a wide net too, as far as like kind of, you know, reaching out to a bigger audience. But yeah, that song's been really good to me. It's really kind of grabbed audiences from all kinds of different genres. I have a lot of metal fans, like people that like metal. And that's just, I feel like songs like Holler from the Holler and Mighty Beast and all those kind of really grab those listeners. So yeah, it's been it's been an incredibly cathartic and healing song for me. I kind of dealt with a lot of trauma as a kid. Like I witnessed a lot of like domestic violence and stuff, and so that song was like kind of a release, so of all that. I was able to let it all go. And every time I sing it, it kind of gets a little bit lighter.
So a lot of people say that country music or current country music is the new classic rock. Would you agree?
No. I mean, classic rock, I think, is its own thing. Yeah. You know, you know, it has its own sound and everything. And even like the lyrical structure and tapestry of it is just totally different. And I love classic rock. It's like far more progressive, and it was far more just innovative back then in the sense because they didn't know what they were doing. They were just like doing something new. And we call it classic rock now, but at that time it wasn't classic rock. It was just like, we're just doing this. And so I have a hard time with that one perhaps, but I feel like, you know, country music now is kind of bigger than ever, and it's kind of making its own identity. And I think what we compare it to, I think, will be told with time.
Yeah. So we had like 10 years where it was more like pop country, and now we are into this phase where it's the rock influences are much bigger.
Yeah. I think so. I think people were missing the rock. And the stories and perhaps some more authenticity and some more grit, and that's kind of showing back up, kind of like with, you know, a little bit more. People I think miss the Outlaws, so, and that's kind of finding its way back, if not even lyrically, maybe sonically through rock and roll.
Talking about Holler from the Hollow, the music video is damn good, but it is shocking as hell.
Yeah.
So, who came up with the idea to do the story?
It was me.
Yeah.
Yeah, I wrote the treatment based off experiences I had as a kid, and with a stepfather, a couple stepfathers, and my mother. I made that video for my mom. That was for her to kind of. I wanted her to, because she went through so much, and I wanted it to not be for nothing. And I didn't want it to be forgotten, because I felt like, you know, she went through all that, and nobody wanted to talk about it. Nobody wanted to address it, and I felt like this is an interesting way to address it. And it's a very shocking reality. It was a very shocking thing to witness as a child, and that was the whole point of it. I wanted people to be like, this makes me, I love this video, but I don't like what this kid's going through. And I feel like that's a way for people to empathize and perhaps start to make changes, instead of like preaching at them and like saying, hey, you got to change your life, you got to do this different. Just show them a scenario, even if it is fictitious. Like, I didn't hurt anybody with a rock as a kid like that. I kind of took my story and I expanded on it into a what if scenario, because I very easily could have been that kid, and it very easily could have ended the way it ended in the video. It didn't, thankfully, but it very easily could have. And I wanted to show that scenario for someone perhaps that might be in that scenario, to be like, hey, you might need to make a change because this is the potential outcome, or something maybe even worse.
This video was once again I was so shocked, but also a little bit. I cried a little bit. No,
Yeah.
I'm not crying, but it shook me. Yeah. So
Well, you should cry.
yeah.
I cried too. So
Yeah.
I cried when we were making it. It was hard to watch.
So a hard cut. The first time I read your name somewhere was when I was listening to Hometown, but the recording Logan Mice did.
Okay.
So was it difficult for you to give this song away, or otherwise, is there a song you would never give away to another artist as a song?
Yeah, there are songs that I would be reluctant to give away. That one, I was a staff writer when Logan cut that song. I wasn't an artist. I wasn't really recording songs, so that one was just kind of fair game. This was kind of before my dad died, and before I kind of made that leap into the artist world. So I was really writing songs for the intention of other people to sing them. I never imagined that I would be the singer of those songs. But that song is my story. And I was glad that Logan was able to hear it and be like, I feel like it's pretty close to my story too, and I want to tell it. But that song is very much my song. That song is my hometown. But you come to find out that it's a lot of people's hometowns, and it's really kind of helped. A lot of people kind of tend to, in country music, that we love to kind of talk about our hometowns and kind of glorify them and worship them in a lot of ways. But in rock and roll, a lot of it's like I had to get out of my hometown. It's escapism from a town, and it's kind of like, and I wanted this to kind of be a love song for my hometown, but without kind of glorifying it and worship, like making it something that it wasn't. I wanted to kind of tell it how it was, but also kind of express a love and adoration and respect for it, and not do the like, oh, I had to get out of there and go chase my dreams. I wanted it to be like, oh, I really miss it, but at the same time, it's not going anywhere. It's like hometown is here, so.
I know you live in Nashville, right?
Yeah.
So, Will you ever be calling Nashville your hometown, or is it?
No. I mean, it's where I live. It's where my house is, my home is. But I live west of Nashville in Bon Aqua. Mm. But yeah, Nashville is like, I've been going through Nashville. My mama lived in Tennessee my whole childhood, and or at least most of it. And so I was always driving through Nashville. So Nashville's always been a familiar part of my life. It's always been there from the beginning. Mm. But it's never been my hometown, but it's home. So
thank you very much for your
time. You're very welcome. My pleasure. Thank you, Christopher.
Thanks.
Those are cool mics.